listening to TMZ Movie Crashers.
Welcome back to TMZ Movie Crashers. I'm your host, Paige from toofab.
And I'm your temp host, Chantal from TMZ Social Team.
I love that you identified yourself as that. That's so cute.
I'm a temp host.
You're more than a temp. You're more than a temp. You have a big presence on this podcast now.
Thank you. I'm honored.
So before we get into what we aren't going to talk about and what we are going to talk about, we have to talk about our elephant in the room here. We have some new props today because it's themed what we're going to be talking about. We both got the Black Panther Wakanda Forever limited edition popcorn tins. Mm-hmm. They cost a whopping $25.
And they light up so you can see the little blue light. It's great for being inside the cinema.
I know. I want to be sponsored. Sponsor us because I don't even know what I'm going to do with mine.
I have like a whole collection of Marvel popcorn tins from AMC.
This isn't your first one?
No.
How many do you have?
This is my fourth.
What else do you have?
Black Widow, Thor, and Doctor Strange.
Do you have the Thor hammer one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that one sold out really quickly.
Yeah, well, it was like the online one. Like, you know how you can like pre-order and it comes, I'm really extra and I want to collect them all. And yes, I spent extra money and ordered it online.
I love it. I love it.
You can totally judge me. I also have a Minions one and I also have a Wonder Woman 84 one.
Oh my God, this is my first collectible tin.
Oh, they're wonderful. I mean, they're like, I spend a little too much money on them, but I save money on other things. So
yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I might put it on my desk.
Put it on your desk.
Yeah.
And just like keep refilling it with popcorn.
Yeah, love that. And I have my Marvel hat on today, and Chantal has her Black Widow Christmas sweater. Before we start talking about some Marvel stuff, let's talk about some of our mentions, things we aren't going to talk about, because as usual, there was a lot of movie news this week. So I'm very excited about this. Netflix is rumored to be looking at Greta Gerwig to direct 2 Chronicles of Narnia films. And I didn't even know Netflix was doing Chronicles of Narnia films. I guess you're a big Chronicles of Narnia fanatic here.
I'm a huge fan. That was my entire personality for like 10 years. Not even kidding. I love Narnia. And I knew that Netflix was trying to create like a series of all 7 books, but like I had no idea that actually moved
There's
forward
7?
with. Yes.
How many did they do before?
They did 3 until Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Mm-hmm.
Were they good?
So I loved them all, but they didn't really do, like the first one did really well.
I think I watched the first like 1.5, I think.
Yeah, like the second and the third didn't do well at the box office, which is why they kind of dropped off. I personally loved them and I love the cast and I wish they would just continue with the series. But hey, I'm excited for the new chapter, especially if Greta Gerwig directs a couple.
I will literally watch anything that she directs, writes, creates, stars in, anything. So I'm excited about that. This is interesting, and you found this story. I didn't see this until later. A film adaptation of the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child play is reportedly part of Warner Brothers Discovery's head, David Zaslav's vision, which is interesting. What do you think about this?
So I'm a Harry Potter fan, but I'm so ashamed to say I have neither read the play in book form or watched the play. Because when I was in London, like the play was just so expensive. I was like, I cannot go watch this. I think it's going to be, if they do go through with it, it'll be interesting. It's just the big question that a lot of people are asking is, so what's going to happen with casting? Because if it's not the original cast coming back, like it'll be a bit weird. But also little things like, you know, casting a Black woman as Hermione was such a wonderful and progressive choice that like if they don't have that in the film, it'll also be weird. So I think there's a lot of questions, but a lot of the main cast have said they wouldn't want to return, except for maybe like Tom Felton. So I guess
Tom Felton will do anything, I feel like, with Harry Potter.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I love that for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like it might be a natural thing to do it if they create the movie in the next like 5-10 years. Maybe like not this year, next year, you know?
I don't know. I mean, just a quick note, because I can go on about this for a long time, because you know I love Harry Potter. I have read the Cursed Child book. Haven't seen the play, but I have read the book. Or I've read the play, sorry. I liked it, but it's kind of like, it has to do with a lot of like, it's controversial with some Harry Potter fans because I don't want to like spoil what happens, but basically it has to do with like time travel with like their kids.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like undo things and they almost undo things. And it's like, it's kind of almost like pointless because like, why would they go back and possibly undo something that was already done? I'm trying to say it without spoiling it because even though it's so old, but I don't want to, because eventually if you do read it or see the play or anything like that, I want you to like be surprised. But I don't know. Honestly, don't really know if I'd want to see them as a film.
That's fair. I think a lot of people have that. It's very mixed reactions to the news, so you're definitely not alone in that. Like, meh, I don't know.
But let's be real. The Warner Brothers Discovery, the head has some very interesting ideas just in general.
There's a lot happening.
Next thing I'm really excited about. So the first reactions to Damien Chazelle's Babylon, starring Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, Diego Calva, They were dropped last night on Twitter, and they are very mixed. Like, very, very mixed. People are really excited for this movie, or they were very excited. The movie's like over 3 hours. It's super long. And when I say they're mixed reviews, they're like super like a huge range, like from dazzling and phenomenal filmmaking to truly monstrous and a total disaster.
Well, that
like
is
literally both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know what to think about that.
I know.
The visuals do look stunning. I will say the plot and just the movie in general from the trailers they seem a bit overwhelming to me.
I mean, I've seen that trailer like 30 times now because I go to the movies all the time.
Yeah.
But like, you know, Margot Robbie finding a snake and like partying and dancing, and she's wearing like the same outfit. I'm like, is this like one scene? Like, she's wearing the outfit the whole movie?
Maybe it's like over one day. I don't know. I don't know the actual synopsis.
I don't really know the synopsis either, to be honest.
Are you gonna watch it?
Of course. Of course. It's a
will.
possible Oscar movie. I have to watch it.
True. I think I will. I'll just have to like mentally prepare myself.
But 3 hours?
It's
between
long.
that and Avatar, damn. Snoop Dogg is getting a biopic. This is interesting.
I'm excited.
And the co-writer co-wrote the Black Panther films, is going to be the screenwriter for this. So I'm excited about that. I don't know. What do you think about this?
I'm excited. And Snoop Dogg's production company, I'm forgetting the name, Death Row Pictures, in partnership with Universal, is creating it. So like, it'll be interesting because Snoop has a full say in like what gets portrayed in a way that I think a lot of other biopics, you know, I'm thinking, well, Blonde wasn't a biopic, but it was a movie about the life of, that's a whole other thing. But like, you know, a lot of celebrities who have passed don't really get a say in how they're represented. So I'm excited for Snoop to tell his story his way. And he's just really funny and charismatic, but has had such a crazy career and has such a range of, you know, titles under his belt that I'm excited to see.
I hope
he produces.
they hope they cast someone who isn't well known.
Agreed.
Yeah, I want them to cast someone who like isn't an A-lister or anything. I think that'll be better.
Oh, for sure. And it'll actually, I can pretend that I'm actually watching Baby Snoop, you know, growing up in the industry.
Baby
as opposed
Snoop.
To, well, you know, like it's a 30-year career. He was not a literal baby, but he was young when he started. So I'd like to see that and actually be like, oh, okay, no, I can feel this. That's definitely Snoop up there, as opposed to being like, I recognize this person. Let's see. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Sorry. It is my turn now. Next piece of news. Keanu Reeves will actually co-star in a John Wick spinoff starring Ana de Armas entitled Ballerina. And in more John Wick news, the trailer of the fourth film came out and Twitter went wild.
Have you ever seen John Wick?
No.
Either of us.
I'm so sorry. I really am out here being like, John Wick 4.
We're getting some judgy stares right now in this studio because we haven't seen John Wick.
Whoopsies.
I know. Okay, I heard the first one is dog dies. I'm like, I don't want to see that.
So apparently the first one wasn't great box office wise either, but then the second one did really well. And that's what like launched this immensely lucrative franchise. So we'll watch it after
I will
this
watch
podcast.
them. I'll watch. There's 3 of them, and the fourth one's coming out.
You know, it might surprise us. We might really, really like it. I just really cannot tell you anything about the plot yet.
Yeah.
Next, I want to talk about is Lindsay Lohan says she'd be interested in doing a sequel to Freaky Friday, the iconic film, and this coming on the heels of Jamie Lee Curtis revealing that she actually has written to Disney about a sequel. What do you think?
I mean, it has to be both of them, of course, and it has to be like, she says there's ideas. She has ideas for a story, but she hasn't revealed that. So it has to be the right story.
Agreed.
Yeah, they can't just do a sequel to do a sequel.
But it'll be interesting to have like grandma and like millennial mom and seeing how they like switch.
I mean, that movie's so good. Like, I still love it.
It is so good. Although it did like make me really paranoid when I was a kid that like I might switch bodies with it. Traumatized me a little, but it was really
a Chinese
good.
restaurant and got a fortune cookie.
It was more the fortune cookie. Like if I just got one in general, I was like, what if I switch bodies with someone? I was really stressed, but it's a great film. Watching it as an adult, it's wonderful. And the High School Musical cast members, or a few of them, had a mini reunion at a conference or convention in Paris. It was Vanessa Hudgens, Corbin Bleu, Lucas Grabeel, Bart Johnson, director Kenny Ortega, and Drew Seeley, who did the singing voice for Troy Bolton in the first film, and he also was on tour with them.
Yeah.
It was really cute. I think it was Drew who posted the pictures. Again, Twitter blew up.
Oh yeah, because I posted that on Saturday, and then at toofab, and then you posted it on TMZ social. Yeah, that's how things work. Yeah, but that's funny. And then we have one more.
Yep. And lastly, there were rumors that the test screenings for Indiana Jones 5 were disastrous, that the audience hated them, blah, 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 blah. But director James Mangold has come out and said that there actually haven't been any test screenings and that the rumors are BS. So fingers crossed. It's going to be an amazing film. We're excited.
Yeah.
Let's get to our big story of the day.
Big motion picture. So our big story of the day, of course, the big motion picture has to be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. First, we need to warn there are spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen it and don't want to be spoiled, like just stop watching and come back and watch it later. So first off, we have to talk about the box office. So this film opened to 181 million at the domestic box office, biggest November opening of all time, second biggest opening of 2022, only second to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is crazy because I didn't know Doctor Strange did that well.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I don't remember that.
I guess it was one of the first-ish of Phase 4.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm surprised that Doctor Strange was that high. And globally, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever earned 150.3 million, so it brought it to a total of 331.3 million in the opening weekend.
Wow.
Which is insane.
We love that for them.
We love that. I mean, theaters were sold out. I went to a 10:45 showing and it was packed.
Oh yeah, I booked my ticket 5 days after they were initially released, and I could but I could only get the front row of like right up to the screens. I was fully just staring up at it the whole time, but it was great though. It was wonderful.
Since you are a Marvel expert, I'm gonna let you take the reins on this and tell us what your reaction was.
Okay, so overall, I effing loved it. I thought the visuals were so cool. The acting blew me away. I'll just do a quick breakdown of like a couple things that I adored, and I do have one big criticism that I want to talk about. So first of all, I loved how it was a really nuanced and complex exploration of three technically leaders trying to protect and preserve their people and the kind of emotional weight that comes with that. I also loved how it was a moving tribute to Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa and the kind of cultural movement that they helped to build. But it also wasn't just about that, which brings me to my next point of I loved how characters who were peripheral in the first film got to really expand on their characters, and you got to see the acting chops. Like obviously Angela Bassett was going to be incredible. We all know she's wonderful, but Letitia brought it. Oh my goodness, the range of emotion and trauma and just strength that she had to go through and portray throughout the film. I was blown away by her acting. Like I didn't know she was that I knew she was talented. I didn't know she was that wonderful. So that was great to see. The one big thing, and I'll talk more about Shuri as Queen, and the Black Panther later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But the one kind of big criticism I did have was I love Tenoch Huerta as Namor. I thought his acting was incredible. I have a new celebrity crush. He's literally, I adore him.
Those little shorts.
I know, and he's just incredible in the film. But the one thing, and this is not a criticism of him, it's more so of the writing, because he sold the shit out of everything he did. But it was more of the motivations of his character and subsequently how they moved the plot forward felt a little bit forced. So it was kind of like extreme in that like at first it started with him and his people wanting to treat Shuri and Wakanda with respect, to then suddenly like wanting to murder them and flood the country, to then suddenly in the end being in awe of them and respectful and being like, oh, but they're the only people that could stand with Talokan against the rest of the world. So I think it was a bit jarring. They sold it well and I believed everything they'd said and did, but just as a viewer, the pacing was a little bit odd and the conflict creation and resolution at times felt a little bit forced and a bit jarring. So that's the only big criticism I have, because otherwise I was really blown away. This was a wonderful follow-up and they had huge shoes to fill, the late Chadwick Boseman not being in this one anymore, and it could have been something that floundered, but I really do think they added a new dimension to the Black Panther mantle and legacy. But what do you think?
That was an incredible reaction and review to that. That was awesome. And I agree with pretty much everything that you said. I also really enjoyed it. I think it was one of the better films of Phase 4. It was so moving and emotional and powerful. Just like a moving, powerful story about grief and family, but it also was like a badass Marvel movie.
Yes.
And obviously a beautiful tribute to Chadwick Boseman. That opening sequence when it was just silent with the Marvel. I don't know, what is it called? Like the title? Is it a title sequence?
Like the title sequence. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and how it was like dead silent in my theater. Like you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah,
that was really moving. The fact that they did it with no music and no sound, I think made it even more more emotional.
And so solemn.
Yes, no, for sure. The silent sequence, wow. There were some things I didn't like. You pointed this out as well. I had issues with the pacing. Certain scenes that I expected to be longer were shorter and vice versa.
Yeah.
So some things that they spent a lot of time on, I was like, okay, we're still on this. Like, I knew this movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like, why are we still like going on about this one part? And then something that I thought would be longer was rushed. So I think the whole third act was super rushed.
Yeah.
Everything with the conflict, the main conflict between Namor and Wakanda and Shuri was very rushed. Shuri becoming the Black Panther was rushed, which we'll get into in a second. And I wanted that stuff to be longer. But some other things I did like, again, like you noted, love Namor, Angela Bassett. The Oscar buzz is real. Oh my God. Spoiler alert, she dies. And that absolutely broke me.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, no, wake up. You're not dead. No. They can't kill her.
You as
No,
well.
you can't kill her.
Yes.
No, that broke me. And obviously that was the spark that made Shuri want to get revenge against Namor. And, she comes consumed by her vengeance. Another thing that I wanted to note, I loved M'Baku in this. I really like that he kind of had a bigger role. I wish he needs more. They need to give him more.
I was gonna say,
but his humor was great. His comedic relief was just amazing. When he called, people kept saying this on Twitter. What he called, I forgot her name. Denai Guria's character. Okoye, a bald-headed demon.
Oh my God,
like literally so funny. I keep
Everyone
thinking
was
about the
laughing.
bald-headed demon. There was some good humor in there compared to other MCU.
Riri was another one.
Riri Williams was a great form of comedic relief in this film, and they also had a little like nod to Rihanna with Fenty.
Yes,
Do you remember that with the specific? Is that the right shade? Am I wearing the wrong shade? Like, I loved that. So as I said, one of my issues was Black Panther reveal. Like, I think it could have been a little bit more dramatic. I feel like it happened too quickly. We all knew Letitia Wright was Black Panther.
Spoiler
alert. I mean, it was obvious from the trailer. You could tell it was a woman, and she had the same makeup on, a little like white dots on her helmet. And I think, like you mentioned, Letitia Wright did so good in this, and I was so moved by her whole arc of struggling to accept T'Challa's death and her wanting to get revenge on Namor and for killing. It was also intense, but then I wanted more of her as a Black Panther. I feel like she, spent all this time recreating the herb, and then like she like took the crushed herb or whatever, and then she was Black Panther, and then she just like sat up, and then she's like, all right, I'm the Black Panther. I thought it was going to be more like bigger than that.
There was barely any Black Panther in the Black Panther 2.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I know that's obviously wasn't like the main focus of it. 'Cause it's mainly about like obviously Wakanda Forever and about like Chadwick's passing. Well, T'Challa's passing and everyone dealing with that and reacting to that. But I wanted more of that. We have to talk about the cameo. We have to talk about the cameo. Big spoiler alert. Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan is in this. When Shuri is becoming Black Panther and she takes the herb and she goes into like what it's kind of like an ancestor like afterlife plane kind of thing. She expects to see her family, but she sees Killmonger. And Michael B. Jordan's wearing like all white. He has like this long dreads.
He looks great.
It looks great. But I was shocked. I did not see this coming at all.
It was so hush hush. Usually there's like little rumblings, like John Krasinski's gonna be Mr. Fantastic. There's like little.
Oh, I wasn't spoiled. The spoilers have been like really kept under wraps. Like I didn't know anything going in. And I was shook by this, and the whole theater was too.
Yeah, same.
And that was awesome. I think it wasn't unexpected for sure, and it kind of was. For her arc, it was perfect because he obviously was consumed by vengeance, and she started being consumed by vengeance. So the fact that she saw him and not her family, I think, was really poignant and really necessary.
On that note, I adore how because T'Challa was so noble and he always had a great sense of self. I think a lot of his conflicts were testing his worldview and testing the kind of king or ruler or Black Panther he's going to be, whereas Shuri's a lot more internal. She wasn't raised to be queen or the Black Panther, and also she's been through trauma after trauma in the last few years. So I love how they show that she is a lot more like her cousin than her brother, but she could still find that middle ground and come into her own and be a queen and be a Black Panther, and it works even though she's not T'Challa 2.0. She never will be, and I love how when she saw Killmonger, that's kind of the message I got from it, even though a lot of people reacted being like, oh, that's really annoying that she saw him and not her mom. But spoiler alert, she sees her mom a little later. So it's not like she never sees her immediate family. I thought Killmonger was a great addition.
I agree. And again, totally unexpected. Again, overall, love the film. I would give it like 3.5, 3.75. You can't do 0.75 on Letterboxd, but I did 3.5. But a 4, teetering a 4.
I'd give it a 4 out of 5 for sure.
We got to talk about the mid-credit scene.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so you have some thoughts on this.
I do. So, well, spoiler alert
Again.
again. The mid-credits scene reveals that T'Challa and Lupita Nyong'o's character Nakia Wardog, who I loved seeing in action, that was really cool.
She was so good.
She was amazing. But they had a son,
Yep.
and he's also called T'Challa. And so, I think the final message was supposed to be that Shuri is not alone. She has not lost her whole family, and T'Challa's name and this is making me emotional, but his legacy lives on, and I thought that was so beautiful and a great way to honor T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman, of course. At the same time, and I might get him some hate for this, I really hope they don't do a thing where, like, you know, with all the quantum stuff, the quantum realm stuff that comes up, I really hope they don't do a thing where, like, they send, you know, baby T'Challa into the quantum realm, like, comes out as like an 18-year-old, and he's the new Black Panther and the new, like, T'Challa of the MCU. I hope they don't do that yet. I hope that Letitia Wright / Shuri gets her time as the Black Panther, because at the end of the whole thing, it made Shuri's arc, like, if the point was to say, like, oh, here's, like, we actually have a new T'Challa, and, like, you know, he's gonna be the Black Panther going forward, or, you know, they'll find a way to age him up and make him the Black Panther, it kind of made it feel like Shuri's journey to become this powerful warrior and confident, capable leader and queen kind of felt like it was, okay, well, she's not the actual heir, not the actual Black Panther anyway, so, like, that's the only kind of, like, oh no, but I hope they don't do this kind of feeling that I had in the theater, just because I would like to see more of Shuri's exploration of herself as the Black Panther. And as you said, we barely saw any Black Panther in this.
I know.
So that was my main thought. What did you think?
Well, you know, I at first was like, oh, that's really sweet. Like, you know, his legacy is continuing on. You know, it's not just his sister; he also has a son. But I didn't really think about it when it comes to, like, the future of the MCU. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what they do with it. If they do anything with it, they might not do anything with him. They might just have him as, like, a side character. But I feel like I'm not sure how the recast T'Challa people had to think about that.
I don't know. I know TMZ did an article about that over the weekend as well, and then people really came back and were like, "You should have recast T'Challa anyway. There was a T'Challa shaped hole in the film." I really don't have many thoughts on them specifically.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I want to wait and see before I, like, give more thoughts on that, because I think I'm interested to see what they're going to do with him, if anything, moving forward.
Agreed. I think, sorry, the last thing I did want to say about Shuri's arc is, I know that Angela Bassett's character, the Queen, had to die to, like, push Shuri to become her, not her full self, but to push her to, you know, take on that leadership role in its entirety and not be scared and not be avoidant. But, like, if at the end of the day she's just, like, the Black Panther for 30 minutes and it's not actually her story anymore, it would kind of feel like it was a, you know, fridging the woman's plot point, which I hate to say, but I also hope it's not that. And I don't think it will be. I have faith, but let's see.
Before we move on to our next segment, real quick, what are your thoughts on MCU Phase 4 as a whole, since now it is concluded with Black Panther Wakanda Forever?
I thought it was very disjointed. I thought some films were great, some films were not. I mean, Black Panther is definitely in my top 2, that and Shang-Chi. But I think a lot of it felt like the awkward teen phase, or like an awkward filler where they kind of just tried to introduce new characters to set up the next generation without actually doing what the first few phases were really good at doing, and that is telling a good, compelling story within, you know, 2 hours or an hour 45 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I understand they have to introduce new characters somehow, you know, but they just were none of it meshed together. You know, you got stuff like Eternals, and then you have things like Spider-Man No Way Home, and those are completely different films. And I understand they have, like, new directors, different tones, different stories, all this stuff. But, like, I feel like the other previous phases, sagas, the Infinity Saga, I feel like there was always some sort, I mean, the Infinity Stones really connected all the phases, but I feel like we needed, I know this is the multiverse saga, but it wasn't in every film.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense, and things weren't connected, and there was opportunities to connect them, and that's what I had a problem with.
Agreed.
And a lot of these films had more potential, and they fell flat. The TV shows were actually pretty good.
I enjoyed them. Yes.
Yeah. And obviously this was I think this is the first phase that had the TV shows, correct? Okay. Yeah, so that was kind of a new addition, and something we hadn't really experienced before. So maybe that added to it all feeling disjointed, because you're throwing in another medium in there. And obviously the shows can create almost a longer story than the films. So I don't know. Maybe the films needed more of the TV shows, and the TV shows needed more of the films in a way.
They just needed to be better integrated. I think like the one big gaping example is the Celestial that comes out of the Earth in the Eternals just doesn't get like registered or followed up by any other.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I'm like, there's literally a Celestial sticking out of the Earth. How
And then
does
Harry
no
Styles
one know?
pops up.
And then so like maybe they'll do more with it. It felt very much like some of these products were like, okay, but this is like a middle. Like, look forward to the next one. But speaking of looking forward to the next one, is I'm excited for What If and Loki having their second seasons and carrying that story forward in phase 5. So like, I think there's little things like that where like when there was a plan, I could be like, okay, fine, or on a cliffhanger. But for other things, it was very like Eternals, and I think Doctor Strange 2 was a bit that for me as well.
Yeah, I liked it at the time, but then like after, I was like, I don't know. I was disappointed. I'm really excited for Thunderbolts.
Yes.
I love Florence Pugh. I love Sebastian Stan. I love David Harbour. Can't wait to see those characters together. I'm actually looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, even though I didn't like love the first 2 movies. I mean, I liked them, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I love Ant-Man. But yeah. I love Jonathan Majors in as Kang in Loki, and so I'm excited to see more of him.
Yeah.
And he's going to be the big bad, if not one of the big bads or the big bad. Time will tell on that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the MCU has moving forward.
Agreed.
So for our last segment, we're going to do What'd You See, What'd You Think? We both saw the same movie, Falling for Christmas, the Lindsay Lohan Netflix Christmas film. So everyone was excited about this because Lindsay Lohan's return to acting. It was so bad, like so bad, but so entertaining. I loved it, even though it was so horrible.
It was definitely a have it with some warm hard cider as you giggle and like laugh at little things that happen along the way. I was excited because it was her big return to the big screen, and I think it's enjoyable, and just like, I'd recommend it for like if you want to have a chill night in or do a drinking game. But I agreed, it was very, very weird. And I think the big thing that carries, do you want to tell them what the plot was first?
So the film is about, she plays a hotel heiress, and she gets engaged and she has a ski accident. Her fiance proposes to her in this like remote mountain location, like in the middle of nowhere.
Literally.
And after he proposes to her, she like slides back on her skis and falls backward over the mountain, and it's like, it's like so dramatic. The effects, her special effects are awful. And she's like, and then she falls down. Obviously that would totally kill her, but it didn't. She just hit her head on a rock and then just gets amnesia. And then Cord Overstreet has this like really quaint, like old towny kind of vibe lodge. And she doesn't remember. So Sierra, that is Lindsay Lohan's character, doesn't remember who she is, and she falls in love with Cord Overstreet's character. And he tried to she becomes this new woman. She's not like this, vapid, superficial heiress like she was before. And then, long story short, they fall in love, and then the fiance finds her, and then she remembers who she is. But then, of course, they have they're not going to be together. And then, of course, romantic comedy, they end up together happily ever after. Movie's so ridiculous. Like, it's a good cheesy Christmas movie. A lot of the acting wasn't great, but Lindsay Lohan was great. And I thought Cord Overstreet was actually pretty good too. Again, all the corny bad stuff doesn't matter because Lindsay Lohan was so good at it, and it was so awesome to see her on screen again because it's been so long. I did like her outfits in this movie, though. I will say that.
Same.
That pink outfit with like the furry hat.
Oh, for
really
me,
loved
it was the red off the shoulder with like the poofy sleeves that Cord Overstreet spills hot chocolate on.
By the way, big plot hole. How did he not remember her? Because she wore sunglasses?
Oh, yeah. I guess I know why she wouldn't remember him. Maybe he was just so frazzled. No, because they made it a point of her fiance stepping in front of her, so maybe he didn't see her. But I will say, like, there's a lot of plot holes. Like, I was watching this with my partner, and he said, this is the most plot device concussion I've ever seen in my, like, it was sometimes she remembered stuff when it was convenient to, like, character development or a plot. Sometimes she completely forgot other stuff.
Like, why did she forget how to, like, brush her teeth and stuff?
And why did he take her skiing?
No, I know.
And mind you, this whole film happens over 4 days.
Yes! It's
4
ridiculous.
days. And
it's like, she doesn't have any clothes. She has to wear clothes out of the lost and found, and they're, like, perfectly tailored to her size.
And they have, like, high heel ski boots.
Yeah.
So they can have moments where, like, she falls and he catches her. And, like, the thing that, and not all these Netflix, I feel like the Netflix Christmas movie is the new Hallmark Christmas movie, and they're always cheesy, and the plot is
so bad.
always ridiculous.
So cheesy.
But usually, and the acting in this was great, as you said. It was like the writing that was so awkward, but
So
also
bad.
what carries these films usually is the like palpable chemistry between the leads, where you're like, I know this is ridiculous, but I'm like, I want you guys to get together, and I want to see this through. I love both Cord Overstreet and Lindsay Lohan. They both are incredible actors, but their chemistry just wasn't there. You know, I didn't feel the heat between them.
I agree.
It just felt like two talented actors acting their asses off, but like it just didn't mesh together well. And I think that was my big thing that made me go like, oh, all right, okay, I guess they'll end up together. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And there were so many dumb things people on like TikTok and social media have like pointed out, like including one this video I sent you. Like someone noted that like when her hair is wet and like Cord Overstreet, he's a widow, and his daughter, Lindsay Lohan's character is like, asks her, do you have something I can dry my hair with? Then she hands her a hairdryer. By the way, why would like an 8-year-old have her own hairdryer? I think that
like
was
a
kind
toy hairdryer.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then she goes like blow dries her hair, and then she like brushes it, and it's like perfectly blown out. I'm like, and people are like, okay, there's no way she blow dried her hair. Like it's so unrealistic. Or like one time, someone's putting makeup on her and the sponge isn't even touching her face.
Oh my, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and there was like one random character that I really wanted to note because you loved this random character.
Kenny. Like, should I tell
Yeah, it's just real quick because you were happy about this.
I was like crying laughing. There's this one scene where Cord Overstreet's character is giving a speech at this
like
Christmas
a big,
party.
powerful like part of the movie, and it's supposed to
Yeah.
be this big dramatic scene. And
Like, thank you all for coming to this party, for being here for me and my family. And then, but he decides to start the speech with like, you guys, the gingerbread houses are fake, so don't eat them. I'm talking to you, Kenny. Like to some random guy we have never seen
this,
before.
and he's just like,
and he's literally going,
so weird.
it was so bizarre.
And I texted you and I was like, did you watch it? I'm like, yeah, I'm almost done. And she's like, did you see Kenny? And I was like, who's Kenny? And then she's like, the guy with the gingerbread house. And I go, oh my God.
This is literally the point. It's like, why is that was one character trait? Why was that line necessary in a film, like rather a scene that is so supposed to be the emotional weight of the
Talking
film?
to you, Kenny.
Literally, like, Kenny, you cat. Like, what? So there was like little moments like that really made me LOL, like cry laughing, which is why it's entertaining. And I wasn't expecting an Oscar-worthy movie, but I definitely, actually, after I went to rewatch Vanessa Hudgens A Night Before Christmas, and it was a very different experience. And I think I was expecting something that felt a little more like that, because the pacing of Falling for Christmas was also a little bit odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Overall, it was an experience.
Yeah, overall an experience, and I'm excited to see her on screen again. And I look
Yes.
forward to she's another Netflix movie I think eventually coming out. I think it's called Irish Wish or something like that.
Oh.
We'll see. Maybe that one will be a step up. We'll see.
Yeah, and they also released, one thing I was expecting in Falling was like a music scene where she got to sing Jingle Bell Rock, because they released
her song. Yeah, she did a
song,
rendition of
yeah.
Jingle Bell Rock.
So hopefully she does more music. Like,
Yeah.
we love seeing Lindsay back.
We love
and
it.
Excited for more.
It's so fetch. We love it.
So fetch.
So
Yes.
fetch. And I think we can end there. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. And we'll see you next time.